So I got a quick question for you. What does feeding the homeless mean to you? Think about this. Every day, we'll walk through downtown, and I mean, not right now, but like, back when things were normal. And it's hard not to notice something that kind of stays consistent throughout most downtown areas. And that's the amount of homeless people that you'll find. It's really interesting. And I, for one, I can't help but think, like, how do these people even eat? You know what I'm saying? And so it's really interesting because while feeding the homeless is definitely a noble cause, as do many homeless coalitions and organizations, but I question, is that really the right solution to this issue? So let's think about a few things here. What does feeding the homeless do? Should we feed the homeless? And what can we do to help them better themselves, right? So feeding the homeless is nice and all, but what does it really accomplish? So let's think about it. What happens when we feed the homeless? Number one, they get fed, so that's a good thing. But number two, they start to depend on these free feedings. So what happens? They stay in an endless cycle of free food just to stay on the streets. And honestly, it's really unfortunate if you think about it, because there's so many people out there that are feeding the homeless, which honestly, if you think about it, it is really a noble cause to do, to go out and feed the homeless and help them in a way that they almost feel like they can't help themselves. But it's also part of the issue, in my opinion, because if you think about it, what happens? They're in an endless cycle, and they're just constantly looking for that fix of food, and they don't work for it. They just get the free food. They just chill back and relax, and they're like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. These people are going to be here any second now. They arrive, and then they get the free food. So it's really unfortunate. And to me, it makes me question, like, is it really right to feed them? Because, they do need food, right? Feeding them is a short-term cause that helps them, and it's good in the short term. But in the long term, I feel like it has really, really negative effects. At the end of the day, it's really up to the individual as to whether you think it's good or not to feed them. Personally, I don't believe it is. And you have to stay with me for a second here, because this is really important. So I do believe we should feed the homeless. I just don't think it should be that simple. Rather than just feed them with food, why don't we feed them with something else, something that actually helps them? Why don't we feed them with something that could essentially help them change their lives? And that's knowledge. That's education. It's just teaching them something about the world and about how they can make money doing certain things, selling certain products, buying stuff and reselling them. There's so many different ways for them to find themselves out of their current situation. But there's a couple issues within that as well. Because think about it. You go out and you talk to like 5 homeless people. 4 of them might even be like, oh, I love my life. Like, I don't have to worry about anything. I'm just here on the streets. It's no big deal. And then there will be one person that's like, yeah, I'm on the streets, but like, I'm trying to get out of this. I don't really know what to do. I don't know what the next steps are. And those are the people we're looking for. Obviously, we can't help everyone because not everyone wants to be helped. But I do believe that there are possibilities for helping homeless people to a greater extent. You know what I'm saying? So it's really interesting, and I think we really should think about this. Like, rather than just giving them food, why don't we, host like a little workshop that includes food? So we're helping them. We're actually, giving them food, but we're also teaching them a couple of valuable skills, be it marketing, just to name one, or something. If you have a group of like males or some people that are more like technically savvier in a way, you can teach them a little bit about mechanics and whatnot, and you can even make a few like car mechanics and whatnot. So there's different options, and I feel like feeding the homeless isn't gonna take them off the streets, and I think that's what we really need to focus on here. So honestly, while it does seem like a cool cause, it is an unfortunate reality that we won't even be able to convert most of them. And that's okay. Because honestly, that shouldn't be the goal. We should be going out to look for individuals that are trying to better themselves. Will many homeless individuals continue to live their normal everyday lives as if everything's good? They will. But will some be looking for a better life and possible solutions to their daily suffering? I think the answer is yes. And that's why it's really important we should aim to help these folks by finding the ones that actually need the help and want it. Because in my opinion, all of them need it, but not all of them want it. And that's where the discrepancies lie. So that's how we can solve a problem one person at a time, is just teaching them valuable information that'll move them forward in the hierarchy of life. Because at the end of the day, if you're a homeless individual, you still have something to offer, and that's your time. And maybe it's your labor, maybe you're smart, but you're homeless, so like maybe your mind could like be of use to certain people. So I really think it's interesting, and we should consider solutions that are more long-term based rather than just giving them food on a day-to-day basis. So that's me.